17, is that what we're,
Yes.
under the engineer's report, permanent emergency equipment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to start off talking about Irvine Pump Station, and then Rob will fill you in on the other 5 pump stations. As you know, to give you some background, as you know, 2 years ago, the board directed staff to install permanent bypass pumps and 4 permanent bypass pumps and 2 generators and 6 of our critical pump stations, and that's Eldon, 23rd, Mendoza, Victoria, Canyon, which am I missing? 23rd. So those ones. And I want to talk about Irvine, the Irvine pump station, because that's where we had the recent SSO. And staff feels the same with the board. It's been a long, drawn-out process, longer than we expected. Let me tell them about the history about what's been going on with putting that generator at Irvine. So what you have on your screen here is a plan, and this is Irvine Boulevard. Mesa's over here. This is the Back Bay Shopping Center. So here's the sidewalk, and then this is the embankment. There's a lot of, you'll see there's a lot of landscaping here. This is our control panel, and this is where our pump station is. The proposal when we did the study, when we did the feasibility study, was to install the generator in the embankment on the slope of that hill here, and it looks like that. So it would go right here, and as you see, it's a lot of vegetation. It's on a slope. So when we met with Back Bay, they originally wanted us to put it underground. They said we can be vaulted. We said no, we didn't want to do that for several reasons. Obviously, cost was an issue. Confined space entry was another issue. So we came at an impasse at this location. So staff wanted to be good neighbors with Back Bay. You know, there's been some, I think you can say in the past history, there's been some.
Wasn't that the property that,
Yes.
we...
Big lawsuit we had with
Yeah.
the slope that
Right.
was built and that long litigation.
Slippage in the...
Yes. Yeah. So there was some, fuzzy relationship with the right away, and so we wanted to kind of build that relationship back with them, and wanted to work with the property manager and finding a location. So we didn't like this location, so we looked at several other locations. One of them, this is a map or a plan of the Back Bay. This is the whole center. There's 2 buildings here. And the second area we're looking at is right here. There's a little grassy patch area that faces Mesa Drive, and it looks like that. And it's a perfect place to put a generator, right? And so when we asked them to bring back some renderings, well, this is what they came back with, and this monstrosity of equipment. And the reason why it's so big is because of the gas tanks right here. This is the gas tanks. Here's the generator. And so you would need to have stairs. In fact, I don't have another simulation. They showed me another simulation where they actually put permanent stairs up here to service the generator. So I agree, this doesn't look right. So I said, what do we do? A natural gas generator. So if you took a natural gas generator, you don't have to have these tanks here. And that's what it would look like. And I thought that was a little more peaceful, right? But they didn't like it. So they didn't want to install it there. So the Back Bay said, no, we want to look at another location. So then we came back, and like I said, there's 2 separate buildings here. There's a little driveway here, and right in here there's a carport. This is what it looks like. And what they were thinking is maybe if we put a natural gas generator, because a diesel generator, because you saw how tall it was, it wouldn't fit in this carport. But maybe we can put in a natural gas generator right here. And so this is what it would look like, the side view. And this is what it looks like the front view. Now, what looks different from this simulation from the picture I just showed you? Exactly. You had to have all this. You need to have this space, this clearance here to make that work. Well, that was the next issue we ran into, and so we went back and said, well, how can we move this trash enclosure across the other side? They didn't want to do that. Well, can we put smaller trash cans in, like automated trash cans? They didn't want to do that. Okay. Can we somehow, right here, there's a compressor that services the business over here. Well, can we relocate that compressor somewhere? Maybe compression, we put it up on the roof. Can we move it somewhere? Originally, they didn't know they didn't want to do that either. And that's when I came back to, okay, I have to come back to the board. We may look at eminent domain procedures, whatever. That is when I came back and said, well, here's another option I considered, and this is the option that we all agreed to that would work, and that is the generator is here. You still have the clearance space here. You put the compressor right back here in the corner. Move the enclosure over on the side where the compressor is. And we certified it today from the manufacturer that there's definitely enough clearance space to make this work. So, and the way to look at this, so basically the compressor would go right around here, not against the wall, but in the back of the corner, and then the generator would go right
How
here.
far away from the sewer line, or where would we tie into?
Yeah, you would have to, go back. Yeah, you're gonna have to, trench all the way down into, in the parking lot. And this is 2 stories. I mean, it's like an upper level and then a down level, so they're gonna have to trench
That's
down
kind of
into.
a major deal, isn't it?
It is, but, it can work. We informed Back Bay there'll be some construction going on, some, trenching going on here and, excavating to make the, so we can connect the station, but they're okay with that. So the good news is that we finally came to an agreement to where it can locate it, and it can bid. The bad news is there's still a lot of work to do.
It's gonna be expensive.
Yeah, right now we're in negotiations with Lease Agreement. Colin is working with their attorneys on Lease Agreement. I don't know, Colin, give me updates on this?
Sent them a written request for things that we wanted to have in the agreement on Monday, and their attorney hasn't gotten back to me yet. I wanted to give him a few days to talk to his client because I presented a number of issues. So if he doesn't get back to me by the end of the week, I'll give him a call on Monday and see if I can get a hold of him over the telephone.
Or, what's the difference of cost between the vault right next to it and this? Yes, I mean, is there a major difference?
Well, I don't have that number off the top of my head. Again, the benefit of having it up here, again, our issue is confined space and entry. So we have it in the vault. That means every time you go in and services, we can have 3 men go in there and service it. So because confined space, if you require 3 guys, so that's an added cost just in the maintenance cost alone. As far as the construction cost, compare this to the vault, I don't have that number on top of my head. Once we sharpen the pencils a little bit more with the construction drawings, I can get those numbers back to you.
Can't you make that vault a little bigger? So
Um,
it's more accessible.
Well, yeah, we can make it bigger, but you still got to go underground to service it. So the vault's going to be underground, and we have to go in to service it. Plus, creating a vault, the excavation is going to be quite large. It's going to be quite disruptive too to make a large vault. It's to make a vault the size of that generator. It's going to be enormous excavation. It's going to be huge, and they don't want it there. They just don't want it there.
Like they said, we prefer the vault. City of Newport said they prefer.
Well, they prefer, yes, they would prefer a vault, but you're right, I'm sorry, Rebecca, they did prefer a vault, but I think once we realize how much construction is gonna go on there in the street, it's gonna, I don't think they're gonna go for it, right, but we need to still sharpen the cost for the construction, because this cost, the excavation from up there down, it's gonna definitely add the cost to it. I think long-term, as far as maintenance goes, it'll save us money, so.
Can you bring that picture back up that showed the street view?
That one?
Going back.
I'm sorry, that one,
That one.
yes.
That natural gas pump, if you were to put it right where that bird of paradise tree is, would the footprint be that enormous? I mean, not talking about, if you were to put that generator right there, you basically have to cut the slope out, reinforce the slope with like an open air retaining wall, and that thing would sit right there.
Yes.
To cover it, we would put probably chain link fence around it or something.
Well, we can do anything they want. We can put a landscape around it. We can do whatever they want to make it look nice.
Based on what happened Labor Day, I'm sorry, but I'm starting to lean towards this eminent domain thing, and just telling them we have to put it there. I just, that's on my mind.
Sure.
I want to be accommodating to them, but
Well,
to put that thing back where you're talking, that's really going to cost a lot of money.
we can sharpen up the costs on and compare the two. If you go eminent domain, and I've asked Colin to compare that, respond and something like that, because eminent domain, it's going to be a process, because you got to come to an agreement on what the value of that property is going to be. And based on our relationship with Back Bay, I can almost guarantee they're going to fight us on that. And what that means, it's got to be resolved in the courts.
Yeah.
And that's going to drag out some time.
I realize that, but I just, looking at this thing and thinking, it just seems like a.
The actual cost, for having it in a remote location is not much, but there would just be, a couple of conduit
disruption of the parking and stuff isn't gonna be that, or the cost isn't gonna be that major.
No, but I mean, you know, I don't know how many conduits they'll have, but there'll be three little conduits encased in concrete.
Was a rendering
Data
done,
connection.
Excuse me, yeah.
was a rendering done with the, in the slope?
No, there was no rendering done in the slope because when we first talked to them about it, they just didn't want to discuss it. No, we don't want to put it here at all. So that's when they said, let's look at other options.
Is there any possibility of vandalism at the new location? Because, you know, it's not screened off.
Well, go back. Yeah, this is an enclosure inside the generator, so the generator itself won't be. But there could be, you could graffiti this,
No,
absolutely.
I mean, I know, so it's inside there?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I didn't realize that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, but the outside could be graffiti, sure.
That's okay,
Sure.
we can take care of that.
Yeah.
Is there natural gas already there?
Yes. Yeah, we confirmed it. So, that's, I'm sorry, that's the long process to kind of get a taste of what we're going through, and it has been a frustrating process, but, we are making progress. It's just very, very, very
So
slow.
one other question, what do they use right of that? Is that a parking space or what is
It's
it?
a parking space, but it's never used.
Would they allow us to fence it off some way?
Well, they still want to keep this parking space available, and there's a little door
Yeah,
right here.
door right over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
see
a
that.
door right there, so we need access to that door.
What's the compressor for, like?
I think there's a
Just curious.
a liquor store on this side, liquor store that has to do with the refrigeration. So that's my, if you have no more questions on this station, I'll turn over to Rob, and he'll talk about the other 5 stations, if there's no more questions.
How soon do you think, what's our timeline, are we getting close to these guys?
Well, it's gonna really be handled on,
Once you know.
if we come to agreement with the lease negotiation, we gotta bring it back to you for your approval. And then once they're approved, then we do construction drawings, then we gotta go through plan checks, then we can do RFP, and then do the construction. It's, yeah, it could be another year.
Government really sucks.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
These were deemed critical stations. Rob, which one of these which one of these have smart covers now?
Eldon has a smart cover. Irvine, this one, Irvine and 23rd is going in next week. Both going in next week. And then we have one at Harbor.
Well, these are deemed critical stations, so I'd suggest to staff that all of these have smart covers, which is just another added level of independent instrumentation.
And we brought that up.
Yes. We'll reach out in the next study session.
Study session. But I think that's a great
Harry
idea.
brought that up.
And you're gonna put the one at Irvine Street on in next week?
Yes, that's going, yes.
Okay, yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
And then we need them at all the stations, critical stations. I mean, that's, I know it's not on our agenda,
Yeah,
but
you'll put
it's
us
part of
on
this, it's part of this.
California's not a critical station.
Not, well.
After
of
last
course it is,
weekend,
of
it
course
might be.
Yes, of course it is. Of course it is.
Okay, any other
So,
questions on
yes,
that?
I'll turn it
If
over
not,
to
Rob, would you,
Turn on that light on, everyone?
Sure, thank you. And that was a good synopsis. It gives a snapshot of some of the struggles we've had with all of these, considering that we are working with planning departments and doing things that we normally don't do in sewer work. The good news is, the canyon pumping station, we have an agreement with the property owners. We have the easement agreement that was signed today by the property owners. And I believe the plans are complete, and we're ready to go out to bid for the standby diesel generator for the canyon pumping station. So at the October meeting, the easement agreement with the property owners will be on the board agenda. And in the meantime, we're going to be going out to bid, probably as soon as next week.
Wow, that's great.
The Mendoza station will not have a building over it because the area is already fenced in.
aren't we refencing that?
Yeah, they were gonna give us, reimburse, or they were gonna give us a bill, we'll pay them, they'll install it for
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah. And American Distance,
For the county?
the city.
Oh, the city?
Yeah.
So Mendoza will not have a building over it, but the Eldon and Victoria stations will be housed in a building. And you have a rendering of that in the board packet. It's been a lot of coordination between the prefabricated building and the backup unit, but we received the final amount of information we needed today. So we might be out to bid on these 3 stations as early as next week also. So that's Mendoza, Eldon, and Victoria, and those will have backup pumping units. Then the last station is the 23rd station in Newport Beach, and we are in structural engineering design right now to design the retaining wall and structure that will sit in the slope on 23rd Street, just a little bit up from the station. And once we have that, then we have to go into plan check through the city of Newport Beach, which will take a little bit of time. So that's the status of all 6 stations. I'm happy to answer any more questions.
Any questions, Mike?
Real quick, the diesel generators, there's obviously diesel can there, or diesel tank.
Right.
What's the, hopefully we'll never have to turn them on, but it's something, you gotta maintain the diesel fuel, cause it breaks down, I think, right?
Yes, and the generator itself needs to be exercised, so it'll be automatically programmed to go on.
I do that in my
Fuel.
motorhome, I have to turn it on every once in a while, so
Right.
yeah,
Same thing.
same thing, okay.
Right.
Art, I just had one question, you know, back to the Canyon pumping station. What amount, do we have to pay the property owners a certain amount for that 5-year lease?
Yes,
Just-
I negotiated the agreement using prices determined by Scott. And we bought a 5-year easement from one property owner for all 5 years for $5,000, and from the other property owner for $3,000, which is significantly less than it would have been had we gone through eminent domain. And we have a very good relationship with them, and it's very cooperative.
Why wouldn't we go for a longer term lease on something like that?
Because the
Abandoned,
station,
that's gonna be abandoned, showing that was gonna be abandoned, but still that's what.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But are there, well, yeah,
yeah, I'm sorry I didn't explain that, that's
Yeah.
fine.
that's a good reason.
That's a good amount, I'm happy with that.
That's a bargain.
Yes,
I
it is.
probably know the owners, but I don't know if I do or not. I know there's a lot of guys on State Street.
Okay, thank you very much
It's the
for that
facts.
update.
Okay, very good, thank you.
And we don't, this is just informational.
Yes.
Number 18, rehabilitation of, oh, no, we already did that.
No, we didn't.
No,
We
we
did?
President.
Oh, the force main, yeah, okay.
To begin with, that project number should be 200, not 201. And what you have here is a request for Board of Director approval of methods and budget. You've read the staff report, so you know that we check various different ways of rehabilitating, replacing, digging, not digging. Went through an analysis, went through cost analysis, went through a disturbance analysis, and we came up with what we felt was the best of both worlds for all 4 stations, all 4 force mains. And at the same time that we did that, we are making a recommendation that we not do electronic analysis of the force mains. As you can see in page 2 of the staff report, the 2 force mains at Santa Ana and 23rd are significantly younger than these force mains, and we found 0 pipe wall thickness on those 2, and these are the same material. So we're not going to go in and look at a 1960 or so force main that's 60 years old and find out it's got 40 more years left. It's not going to happen.
No.
So we're recommending that we rehabilitate or replace as shown in option 4, and that was agreed upon by both Scott and myself. And that recommendation is also reflected on page 4 in the total budget there. So that's $1 million for the entire project for rehabilitating 4 force mains. And with the method for rehabilitating them, the project lends itself to all being bid under one project, which could reduce the cost down further. So that is what staff is presenting to the board tonight. Your agreement or comment on the methods and the potential budget.
It sure looks good to me what you recommended, but any input here, questions?
I have a couple questions. Rob, you've said consistently that plastic won't last as long as metal. Do you have to use structural plastic? Is that what makes the lining so expensive? Is this the same kind of lining as we use in 23rd Street?
Well, at this point in time, we're not proposing lining. We are proposing on all 4 of them new force mains. And that is because a new force main is superior to a 60-year-old force main that has a liner in it. Lining technology is relatively new, and nobody really knows what will happen after 75 years. But the new force mains will not be metal. They will probably be similar to water pipe, which is very thick PVC that has stood the test of time. And the directional drilling might even be HDPE or similar material.
So basically you are gonna dig and replace one of these plastic pipes.
Yes. The reason for, real quickly, the reason for dig and replace Mendoza is that we're in an alley and we had a proposal from a contractor to dig and replace for $56,000, which is outlandishly low. If you look above under lining, if we were to line Mendoza, the lining cost would be $235,000. So why not dig a new one for $100,000?
Yeah, well, that was what I was asking you, is why is lining so much more expensive when you're gonna end up using very similar material and dig and replace? Is it because it's structural lining?
Yes.
Okay.
It's far more expensive than non-structural liner. These liners, this is different than lining gravity pipe. This is
Yeah, okay.
this is
That's probably what I'm confused.
fully structural lining that is very expensive.
Yeah. And then the industry they have a lot of experience lining non-structural pipe, like
Yes.
clay pipe. Are you gonna go down the alley then with Mendoza?
It will go right around the corner in the same, right next to the existing one.
Okay.
We've already checked for
Okay.
corridor. And the reason South Coast Plaza is so less cost is because we're going to go in a different direction and shorten the force main by going a very short distance as opposed to the existing alignment that goes deep under a large storm drain culvert and right to the front of Bloomingdale's. So we will be saving a lot there as well. So we studied these very hard,
Yeah.
took a while, and that's why we came to these conclusions.
Okay, I move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
I have one other addition if I could. Now, part of that is, are we going to have to increase the amount of money of $180,000? Or are we going to wait until we get the, back from the vendor, if we're going to be able to do it for that price?
The recommendation is to appropriate additional money, because that's what the estimate
Okay,
is.
is that the part of Bob's motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the second one you read it.
It's right here.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's number 2 of this, of the.
Yeah, it's, the request was to approve London to, or the
Because
recommendation.
number 4 just has a 790, but, and then you're requesting additional 180,868.
Yeah, because if you go to the financial section, the total amount is
A million.
Yeah.
Well, that's, that 1,030,000, but that's before we go out to bid. We could get a lower bid.
could be,
Yeah.
we could, yeah.
But you need an approval for that
Yes.
additional 180 tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, we just did that.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what,
did we do that?
that was part of that
That was part of your
motion.
motion, wasn't it?
It is now.
That's why I seconded it.
Thank you, board members.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay.
One
And
other
Good
question for Rob.
good analysis,
Yeah, that breakdown with
Yeah, it was
least
very-
disruptive, least expensive, I really appreciated that, that was good.
Art?
Are we gonna move on that right away, Rob? Go out to bid right away? What's your timing?
Well, as soon as the general manager kicks it off, we'll get rolling.
Because I think that's probably pretty important.
Absolutely. We don't want to sit on this one.
Okay, let's move along. Treasurer's report.
Nothing to report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mark. Attorney's report. Colin?
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Okay, we like that.
Yeah.
Local meetings. I was at the Orange County Sanitation District meeting the other night, and the two things of note were, let's see, we are refinancing district revenue refunding certificate anticipation notes to the tune of $135 million. And I guess that's gonna save us some money. We also have been negotiating with one of the groups, the union groups over there, and it looks like we're gonna go to impasse. We've gone round and around with them, and we've agreed on a bunch of non-financial things, naturally, but they just can't get together on this thing, so. But, you know, that's not always bad. I mean, impasse can sometimes force their hand, and, you know, there's a technique that they use, but other than that, Bob, is there anything?
No, I wasn't prepared to, let me look at that. I get confused on when we're supposed to report on these things. No, there were just a number of different projects, mainly plant
Yeah,
roots.
just smaller type project.
Small in the, or.
Well, yeah, relatively speaking. Sanitary River Flood Control, I was just there prior to this meeting. I've got, they just kinda gave us an update on the progress. We kinda had a little setback on the finish date. It's not real significant, but it's slowing us down a little bit. Also, I wanna bring this up and place it on a future agenda, and that is, we're gonna, at our next meeting in, I think, November, we're gonna honor Jim Warner, and do a resolution from that board, from that entity, and I thought it would be appropriate for this board to honor him, because he was on that board for 24 years, and he was a chairman for 20 of it, I think, so.
Oh, so what's the name again?
Jim Warner, W-A-H-N-E-R.
Yeah.
He was on this board
Yeah, he
for
was on
16
this
board,
years.
yeah. So,
In what form would we do that? And then,
well, we would do a resolution, and I think have it framed, or,
that's
you
what I
know,
was thinking.
something like,
He's well
or we could do a plaque too, I mean, for that matter.
Or just a thought, I mean, we could do do it at our, Christmas dinner. You know,
Yeah.
it possibly might be a more apropos
Well, we're
setting.
gonna present, he's gonna get it presented at that,
Right, okay.
at our general meeting. But we can present it a couple times.
Well, yeah, I think we ought to maybe re-present it at the
That,
Christmas.
that's what I was thinking, that would be a real nice
Well,
touch.
we need to do it in conjunction with Orange County
Right.
Sanitary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the next thing I'm gonna do is ask them to do a resolution, which I haven't gotten around to yet.
Do you want to do a proclamation or a resolution? Proclamation? I want to do proclamation, right?
Sure. Whatever is apropos.
Well, there was one thing that was interesting, in the Santa Ana River project, we'd gone out a number of times when the pipe was nearly exposed, and we put in,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
we put in riprap across.
Boulders.
We put in millions of dollars worth of boulders to protect the pipe. Now there's a debate with the feds as to whether or not the Orange County Sand District has to go take those out.
But then there's the argument that it has its own habitat
It
now.
has those,
So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Toads and rabbits and created
Yeah.
their own habitat in those
well,
things.
the habitat that was there is adapted to,
Yeah.
I mean, these were millions of dollars worth of rocks.
Okay, let's move along. ISDOC?
Yeah, executive committee meeting on the 3rd of September. Annual conference for CSDA was talked about. The two biggest items were the continuation of ISDOC in OCOG, which was, as you know, approved. We're still struggling with getting the revisions to the bylaws, and now Mesa Water has really been the one that has prevented the final version going to the districts. The question boiled down to serving on the ISDOC executive committee, whether or not an appointed director could be on that board. And I really think they're confusing what an appointed director is. Arlene's an appointed director to fill a vacancy. There are some special districts that are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, the cemetery districts, for example, right? And Mesa Water just can't seem to grasp what's going on with this, so I'm sure in 2 weeks when we meet again, we'll have discussion over Mesa Water's thing. My position with the committee has been, you know what, if they don't like the revisions, they can always vote against them. We've dragged these revisions out for months and months and months. We need to get it before the special districts, take a vote, and let it fall.
Exactly.
You know, so that was really the big thing. And then there was some discussion about the October 31st speaker. Honestly, I don't remember who they decided. It might be the Stan Oftali, Executive Director of OCOG, I think is the one they picked. I think.
What time does that meeting start? Is that
11:30.
11:30?
It's a luncheon over at MoDOC.
CIF Girls Tournament is on that date at Costa Mesa Golf Course, and I told them I come out in the morning,
Yeah,
so it's the afternoon.
I'm gonna be somewhere from 6:30 to 11 that morning also.
October 31st.
Yeah.
The following.
No discussion as to whether you should wear a costume or not, but feel free to,
I was in the costume.
I've no doubt about it. That's all the report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. CSDA.
Okay.
Well,
We
we
all
all went, yeah.
attended. And, I have a question for Nolani. Did you receive my confirmation that I did the?
I did, thank
Okay,
you.
because they sent me something that doesn't look official, but you already have it.
I did.
Question for Nolly also with CSDA, maybe you can find out, you know that, leadership thing we're going to in November? Or maybe Ann, maybe you know, but one of the modules is ethics training up there.
Well,
If we don't need it, we don't have to go to that, right?
Correct.
no,
okay.
it's not one of their modules, it's after one of their things, it's set like from 2 to 4.
But it is
Yeah,
one of the
yeah, it is, but
scheduled yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you're
because
saying.
that's why, I saw that too.
Okay.
But I have some additional things for CSDA.
Yeah.
Okay, because I went to the conflict of interest, and I want to throw these ideas out to you guys. It says a board member leaving office cannot come back to the board for 1 year to persuade board for any decision. I didn't really know that.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty standard.
And the single source of gift is now up to $440. It was $420. Did you guys know $440 now is?
I thought it was less than that, to be
No,
honest with
it's
you.
440.
It's 440?
Okay. And then ad hoc committee is not required to be subject to the Brown Act. I didn't really realize that. So we don't have to post a meeting when we have an ad hoc committee?
For the same university,
No, I didn't know that either, so, okay. And then, we can have a joint meeting with Midway City outside the area of jurisdiction. Remember, we had some confusion about that, but he said there's no problem. And you can vote on items if you want to, you just have to post it where it's gonna be, so the public can attend. We didn't get to the incompatibility of office, I was ready to talk about that, but we had a lot of questions to ask, and that was the last thing on the agenda. And then, got to the Brown Act. Let's see. When we did a teleconferencing, you know, the one we did, all of the votes had to be taken by roll call. I wasn't aware of that. I don't know if we did that or not. Did we do it by roll call?
We did not do that by roll call.
So that's something we have to keep in mind for the future, there has to be a roll call vote for teleconferencing. And, let's see, I think that's probably it
Just
on that.
A couple things on CSDA. First of all, congratulations again to our general manager and to the district for the awards. I thought the conference overall was okay. I mean, it wasn't the best thing I've ever been to in my life, but it was okay. I would encourage my fellow board members, my committee the education committee for CSDA that I sit on, will do an evaluation of the conference. If there's anything you guys want me to bring up at the next webinar or conference call, whatever it is that we do, let me know.
The only thing I thought, the segments were too short. I mean, they were like hour segments.
You
They
said
should-
I already
told
have
you.
that in my notes,
Okay,
yeah.
because, you know, because there's not enough time to go over all the material. we
And
could
then
have.
you have to go to somewhere else.
Right, so I thought, you know, make it move it to
Yeah,
hour
I
15 or.
totally agree with that. The one I went to was like an hour, and she was very good, but all that information, you know,
It's right there.
condensed.
There were a lot of questions and
Right.
you couldn't answer.
Yeah, and then if you have a lot of questions, you could get through the whole agenda.
I think what they're trying to do is appeal to such a wide variety of topics. Maybe they shouldn't do that. Maybe they should focus it more on the things that are more relevant.
And
Take more
she
time.
didn't seem too thrilled with the, you know, the compactness of it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I went to several sessions and I took time to write it all up. I didn't bring it, so I'd like to present it next month.
What is September next month?
Okay, well,
We paid for it.
we can do that.
That's fine.
Anything else on the CSDA? Really?
Is it my turn?
Not yet.
Okay.
Unless you have CSDA, you have CSDA info.
Oh.
where we are.
I'm on
That's
the
where we're at.
agenda.
Okay.
Okay, you're up then.
CSDA.
No, that's something else.
CSDA.
No, but we're still on there.
Okay.
That's waiting for
Okay,
them.
Okay.
Okay.
CASA then. Any,
Well, remember we had some question, I wrote down a couple things from my notes, that Midway City received the award for organizational excellence. That was, remember we had talked about, hey, what kind of award did they win? And then, some things I thought were real good that we're doing already, Scott's doing already, you know, trying to attract great employees using different ideas, you know, public tours, speaker bureau, websites, which were good, newsletters, which were good, articles and association participation, which we're involved in a lot of associations, incentive pay, and that employees have 4 to 5 goals each year, so I'd like to compliment you on that. Okay, that's probably the main things that we had missed at the last meeting.
okay, were there other meetings or qualifying for reimbursement under the Costa Mesa
Now it's
Sanitary?
my turn.
Okay.
Low man on the totem pole. Okay. I went to ISDOT, and not to repeat the board meeting, and everything Mike said is true, I'm a witness. So that's
Will I
that.
not tell the truth?
You never know. Anyway, then on the chamber ledge meeting, that went very well. We had a lot of legislative reps there and utilities, and talked about everything that was going on. I have notes here galore, so I'm not gonna read it to you, because I did learn at CSDA, they said, you don't have to go through your notes in a meeting like this, you just have to prove that you were at that event, and kind of surmise it, so that's what I'm doing. Anyway, but I do have everything if you want it. Also, Jim and I went to Vista Irrigation. district had, it was direction, setting direction, community leadership, and we each got a certificate for it, which was nice, and something special, and it was really good.
It was good, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then, let's see, that was the workshop. We just went to that one. We didn't go to the finance or anything that's going to be up in November. So, you know, that's the only thing we went to. The others stayed on there. Then, of course, I was into the closed session that we had, and, I was into the study session that we have here in the office. And then CASA, I have all kinds of stuff on CASA here, if anyone wants to see it. And, but we all really went down to CASA, except maybe
Jim and Bob did.
Oh, Bob didn't go there, okay. Well, anyway, I have a whole bunch of things on that. Castle was really good, they had 300 people there, which was surprising, because I really had no idea they had that many. So that worked out fine, that's it.
Thank you. New business, nomination of Director Arlene Schaefer to run for Region 6 of the CSDA Board of Directors. Oral report.
So moved to nominate Director Schaefer to the CSDA Board of Directors, Region 6.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Thank
Well, should we congratulate you now or later?
You
Just
never
be
know how it's gonna
the
go.
honor is just to be nominated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, just to be
When
nominated.
is the election?
Elaine from,
Oh,
Locadia.
Locadia.
Acadia is, you know, she is on there now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and,
She's not gonna run?
she's a board. No, she's gonna run,
Oh, okay.
and she's in shell shock, and I'm gonna run.
How do you go about running now? That you got, do you have to submit an application?
Yeah, I'll just talk to CSDA, and they
They'll
know
want,
it,
they'll want all these notes, or a report.
to prove that you all okay that it's legal, so.
Now it's time for oral communications and director comments. Do we have any?
I'd like to have a update on the study session, that's what we call it now, on negotiating for local sewers. Orange County Same District is still pushing to transfer local sewers to the local agencies, and I think we made a submittal, and I'd like to have it push over to get a response to us, and maybe by the study session. They didn't like our costs.
You're talking about Beverly Trunk.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. At this time, should we, Jim would like to address the board on this closed session. I guess before the closed session would be more appropriate. Jim Mosier.
Yes. Thank you again, President Chairman and members of the board. The agenda announcement indicates that the closed session topic is going to be the anniversary lane sewage spill on August 31st. This obviously is a major event that apparently may wind up costing the ratepayers significant money sometime in the future. And since the district prides itself on transparency and just as a basic public relations matter, I would think at some point you would want to agendize this as an item on of its own at an open session for a clear, comprehensive, candid discussion among the directors of what happened exactly, what went wrong, what staff could do in the future to handle such a situation better, including better coordination with Newport Beach. And if that discussion has already happened, I don't know when and where it did.
We have,
I think
we did have a.
Last board meeting, we just, I think Scott made a presentation.
Well, that, and we also had a
I-
special meeting with the Orange County Health Department and the Public Works of Orange County.
We discussed it at the liaison committee, we discussed it at the liaison committee with the city and immigration, and we discussed it with our meeting in sewer. But those two obviously did speak about it publicly.
We didn't at the last board meeting, because it happened after the last board meeting.
Or we had talked about it, maybe
Yeah, but we did with the Orange County Health Department.
But that wasn't a public meeting or anything.
It wasn't?
No.
Oh.
But, Jim has a good point, once it's all finalized, then we need to probably put
But
that
he
back on the
wasn't.
agenda for,
Yeah,
He
we have no
wasn't
problem with
with
that,
us
Jim.
we have no problem with that at all.
No, I think it's a good idea.
And I'm not quite sure why the other meetings happened without notice, if they were emergency meetings or whatever. But from my own point of view, on the Labor Day weekend, I saw the online announcements that the Upper Bay was closed. I didn't read those far enough and had no inkling it had anything to do with the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. First I heard anything about that was at the liaison meeting, which I would not have gone to,
Yeah.
until I heard something about Anniversary Lane. Searched the building, wondered what that is. So, anyway, the second point I wanted to make is that would not be a proper discussion for closed session. So apparently what you're talking about is anticipated litigation, it says, and possible administrative fees. And to the extent, this is just my own philosophy of things, to the extent that litigation might be originating from another public agency, or the fees imposed by another public agency, I just personally feel that any disagreement or dispute between two public agencies should be settled in public rather than private. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move into closed session.
Take a 5-minute break, 2-minute break.
2-minute break. And you better hurry.